Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I'm here at the Jump Talk with John Brett, the coach.
I'm here with Vet Ian Griffin.
Man, it's a different day today.
It is.
And we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk a little bit about something called the double standard of the media and the congressional leaders' hypocrisy on the rioting. I think that's important. So our country has gotten pretty wound up about this Capitol being breached, and totally 100% concur with it. Finally saw the voice of the Democratic Party, to be honest, in regards to it. But kind of what kills me is we didn't see that voice when the White House was being about to be breached. Lucky it was repelled back.
Absolutely.
And when 60 Secret Service members were hurt, all we heard about was we used tear gas at the time. And, you know,
Yeah.
and then some people will say, and I've seen some people say, well, hold on a second here. One had validity and one didn't. No, there's no validity in breaking the law. Just saying how it is. There's no validity of storming a building that ain't yours.
Right.
There's none.
And
it's called criminal acts.
Absolutely. And like we talked about in a previous podcast, is the validity is your own ideology, because to the people that went there to think that the election was stolen, right or wrong, they have validity in their mind that that's their cause.
Yep.
If it's because you believe there's police or there's injustice with police or with African Americans, that's your cause. One can have validity and the other can have validity, but it just depends on the person. You can't just say, well, it's okay to riot and loot, no matter what.
So we pound the president, as we should, on things that he say that are wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call out some legislators on some of the things they said. I listened the other day, Senator Gillibrand discuss how the protests of the summer were all peaceful.
She's a lie.
Okay?
Okay.
Then she referred to the rioters as white supremacists, which, does she have something I don't know? I did see one in there that had the Confederate flag. And so I can maybe understand that correlation, but the rest we don't know that. And then, you know, my deal is with those two things there is breaching the Capitol is big enough.
Yeah.
You don't get no bigger than that. So you don't have to add no sauce or anything like that. Kind of like when I eat a steak, it's pretty badass. If they do it right, I don't need steak sauce on it because they did it right. Because it's inside. You know, you don't need to add nothing else. But we need to add everything else to try to make it colorful, apparently. But that's Senator Gillibrand. And to kind of explain that, you know, CNN had a reporter that stood in front of burning buildings and called it was a peaceful protest.
I remember that day.
Yes. And when they did it, you know what came to my mind was when we invaded Iraq and the Iraqi defense minister stood there in Baghdad and said, there has been no U.S. troops in Baghdad, as an American M1 Abrams zips right behind him, which is freaking hilarious. That shows how shows the hypocrisy, and it shows, I don't want to call somebody dumb because I'm not into that type of mode, but it is kind of like, dude, where's your intellectual level? The same with Gillibrand. You know, they were all peaceful. We got plenty of people that died in the summer on the hands of a peaceful protest because they weren't peaceful. And so, you know, those are the first two instances I just kind of want to throw out there is that right there, Coach, and want to get some of your thoughts on it. And I got some more here too.
Well, my thoughts is Maxine Waters.
Yes.
Just, 2 or 3 years ago saying what she said about Trump supporters, what to do to them when you see them.
Yep.
Was it go into the restaurants, go into their district, go wherever they were,
Their homes,
and harass them or
Yep.
do whatever.
Get in their face.
Yeah, get in their face.
Yeah, get in their
Those
face.
things incite violence. But the media will portray that. You don't hear about Maxine Waters. You don't hear about that anymore. You don't hear about the people that would say, what was it, Eric Holder?
But I will
Kick
say,
them in the leg or we'll kick them back and things
Yeah.
like that. You don't hear about that from some of the media.
yeah. But at the speech the president gave, he never said any of that right there. He said, we're going to march down there. That's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to march down there and show them, but he didn't say get in somebody's face. He never said any of that. So the media likes to pick sides, and so does the press. And right now we have this strange thing, and I'm gonna read what she wrote. What she said. Let me find it here. Mrs. Michelle Obama. Well, I can't find it, but what she did was,
Keep looking for it.
I will, but she sat there and she referred to the bit Silicon Valley to censor the president,
Yeah.
is what she basically said. And as she did that, let's think about that a second. Everybody's going to say, well, that doesn't violate the First Amendment. And it does not. You're absolutely right on that. It does not. But who she's referring to as Silicon Valley is Facebook, Twitter, and all those other things, and YouTube and all that, which are entities that have become more powerful conduit than the government itself, the legislative branches of the government. So when you're more powerful and then you censor somebody, you're not breaking the First Amendment, but what you are doing is purposely taking a voice away. Now, they did censor President Trump. From what I understand, Facebook and Twitter have both are going to pull him down. But this is a question I got. I want to read this right here real quick. And this was taken from the Kenosha shooting of Kyle Rittenhouse. On August 26, 2020, a congresswoman found it upon herself, Congresswoman Presley found it upon herself to say this: a 17-year-old white supremacist domestic terrorist drove across state lines with an armed AR-15. He shot and killed two people who assembled to affirm the value, dignity, and worth of black lives. So I'm just going to break this down.
Wow.
All this we know is false. It is facts. It is false. I've seen the whole video, and I'm talking where they put the videos in timeline order of Rittenhouse in regards to this. So the first thing we know about this, there's no evidence whatsoever that he was ever a white supremacist.
It's easy to call anybody that's white that protects himself.
Yeah, because he's a white person, he protects himself. But there is no evidence whatsoever. So the congressman is calling a 17-year-old boy a white supremacist. She put a label on it. Twitter didn't do nothing about that. And this was on Twitter where she put it on. He did not drive across the state lines with an AR-15. He got the AR-15 from a friend in Kenosha within the same state boundaries. And just to explain that, Kenosha and Chicago, but where it was at is only like 15 miles. So anyway, and then she called him a domestic terrorist. Well, the definition of a terrorist is a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. I don't know what his political aims were, but that's never been discussed. He was attacked first. That's a fact. We've seen the video evidence of it. He is attacked 2 different times, actually. Okay? First, both times. Okay? On both those incidents. And when he was attacked first, what was his political aim again? I'm missing that. And then when he was attacked, he was defending his life. And then my question to this is those people that attacked him, he did shoot and kill 2 people in defense. But those 2 people that did attack him, were they affirming the value of anyone's life, black, white, whatever? Were they affirming the dignity of anybody's life when they did that? And were they affirming the worth as they was attacking a human being?
Sure.
Let me just say this. When a guy walks down the road with a weapon in his hand and you attack him, what do you think is the outcome of that? I'm smart enough to go, hey, he's got a pea shooter. I'm walking the other way, or I'm not going to have a confrontation with him. It's simple as that.
Sure.
So anyway, my deal is she was praised for her comment as well. But all of it is a blatant lie, every bit of it. And this is an elected official that is placing blatant lies towards a 17-year-old who is going to be tried as an adult who is still 17 years old. That's abuse of power right there, in any way you want to look at it. But Twitter did not censor her whatsoever.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I haven't even thought about this till you were talking about it, is Nick Sandmann.
Yes.
You have to think about when something first happens, what CNN did and what other agencies, news agencies did immediately was, this guy was at fault. When this first came out, this guy was at fault. Not only was he at fault, he was a white supremacist that brought a gun just to kill black people. That's what you heard. So what you do is, even if you bring the truth out later, that has been out so much that there's going to be a subsection of people that are always going to think of Nick Sandmann as a bad kid.
Yep.
And this guy as a bad white supremacist murderer.
Yep.
Even if they came out and said, now if they come out and he doesn't get convicted, is it a reason to riot now?
Yep.
It probably will be, just because of fake narratives like this that come out in the media.
And,
we don't know he's a white supremacist. No. Did he have a white supremacist ID card?
I don't know.
Was he at a Klan rally?
I don't know.
I mean, how do we know white supremacy anymore? But everybody that does something that the left doesn't like is a white supremacist if you're white.
I'm an open-minded guy, but I'll be honest with you, Coach. I don't know where there's been a Klan rally since the 70s.
Well,
now, I do agree that they're out there. Don't get me wrong. But I'll tell you, we both grew up. We went to the town next over. There was a Klan rally down there. And my mom was like, James, talk to my dad. Lock the doors, lock the doors, lock the doors. Let's get out of here. Of course, yes. But that's the last time I know where one's at.
I mean, we have, in our society, we have taken the small people and given them the loudest voices. We've taken the smallest groups and put that on as everyone else is a part of that small group. If you're white, like myself, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm a white guy. I have a strong opinion, and does that mean I'm white supremacist? If I had one view that matches up with, say, a white supremacist group, that say I voted for Trump and the white supremacist guy voted for Trump, am I now a white supremacist? Am I now part of the problem, the KKK problem that is so big that we don't see? That's what we've done is, and this small little radical left or small little radical right that we have in this country has such a loud voice now. And people are put into these boxes and given titles and given, names that we aren't.
Now, I'll say this is, I've met people who are racist.
Right.
But I have, in the last 32 years, I could not tell you a single one of them that were part of the KKK. I'm just saying, they hadn't come up to me and go, hey, dude, I got my hood right over here. They don't do that shit. I mean, I'm probably quite sure that I've met a few of them, in 32 years that are members of that, but they ain't came out and told me, so I don't know. With all this here, I'm sitting here going,
the double standard.
The double standard. It's not barely obvious. No. I'm talking like it's like a freaking solar eclipse during the daytime. You know what I'm saying? Or lunar eclipse during the daytime. It's blatantly. Yeah. It's there. It's blatant.
And real quick, if you turn on your news today and you turn on CNN mm-hmm. and you turn on Fox yep. and you turn on MSNBC and you turn on Newsmax, you could really believe if you came out of a coma that you're living in two different countries that they're talking about.
Yep.
It's not even anywhere close to being news. Yep. It's propaganda.
It is
and
propaganda.
The propaganda that we have in this country is if you don't believe this narrative, then this group that you're in over here is all considered to be a bad or a traitor or a terrorist. Or
wrong side of history.
Wrong side of history. Wrong side of anything, but you can't have a personal opinion anymore because they're going to throw you in a label box, and I'm not going to be in the label box.
Yeah, so, our two high elected officials, which would be the number 46 and the vice president.
Soon to be 47? Okay, my bad.
The 25th Amendment thing talking about the president. That's just a test so they can do a drive.
We talk more about the 20 amendments. What I talk about from 21st to the 29th Amendment, the last 4 years, and we talked about probably the last 50.
That really what that was. I'm being joking, so don't take this seriously. But really, what that was, they're doing that with Trump to do a test run so they can have it ready for the next guy. Yeah. It's a test run, so they can move on. Kamala right on in. So anyway, but both of them came out, and talked about Kamala Harris. We witnessed two systems of justice when we saw one that let extremists storm the United States Capitol, another that released tear gas on peaceful protesters last summer. When we know this is unacceptable and we should be better than this. I'm sorry, they burned a church right there next to it the day before, and they stormed the White House, and 6 people got hurt. Yes, they used tear gas. I'm sorry, they used tear gas. Don't storm a building. Simple as that. No matter who you
don't
are.
Burn. Don't burn. There's pictures of that rioting that night, and it looks like there's fire all through a couple of streets.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry. I don't know if anybody died at the White House one. I don't know.
think so.
There might have been, but 5 people died at the one at the Capitol. So I don't know what the comparison is, to be quite frank with you.
Well, did people die in Seattle? Did people
but-
die in Portland?
They did, but what I would expect as the Vice President of the United States, because you've been telling us what you would expect of the current president, is you to take the high road and find a way to unify us.
Yeah.
Bam. Simple as
That's
that.
the kind of leaders that we need.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, and we did not have it in Trump.
We
And It
did.
doesn't look like we're having it in Biden immediately. And
So-
I think that would be something great.
So what I will say is, on the very first day that the president took over, number 45, at his inauguration, he claimed that the crowds were larger than they were. Because he
Never over-exaggerated.
he never over-exaggerates. He always over-exaggerates, and we all know that. I mean, if you can't take that in jest, then you got problems. But the media could not take that in jest. So from day one, he lied. CNN, all of them run with it. CNN's girlfriend, Joy Behar, they will freaking run with that like it ain't nobody's business. So anyway, she eats that up all day long. And but anyway, he lied. What I got here though is 46 ran on the premise that he's going to unify our country, and he starts out already, hadn't even walked across the inaugural stage, and has already said, "I threw that in the trash for you
Even
guys."
if 74 million people are against you, Joe Biden, for you to just start preaching every single day, something that you hear over and over and over becomes the positive norm in your life, then it becomes part of your life, then it becomes your life. We are all Americans. I'm here for all Americans. We want to do what's best for all Americans. I don't want there to be a left and right. I want there to be an America. You keep saying that over and over and over and showing that sooner or later, some of those people that we talked about in the earlier podcast that are kind of in the middle or considered to be moderates or maybe even to be some new party maybe,
Yeah, well,
maybe they would start coming over to America's side and not these sides.
So I'm going to read what the president-elect, Joe Biden, he put out. And then I'm going to hit some things that some agencies put out about him and Kamala Harris. But this is the future vice president. No one can tell me that if this had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, that they wouldn't have been treated differently, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol. We all know that's true. It's unacceptable, totally unacceptable. So,
I got to stop.
yep,
Thugs.
thugs.
Okay, yes, they're thugs. Guess what? The Black Lives Matter, Antifa crowds, when they were doing things, looting and burning, they were thugs too. But when I use the word thugs, and when people use the word thugs against that, we were considered racist.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just pick a couple of them because I got the National Review writer. He sits there and goes, 4 people were dead. Now it's 5. What happened yesterday? And you know what? People died last summer too. Countless businesses destroyed. People's livelihoods set on fire and stolen. You refused to condemn that violence. And they did for 45 days. As a matter of fact, one even sat there and said, if you're able to chip in now at MNF Freedom Fund to help bail out those protesting on the ground in Minnesota, go ahead.
Kamala Harris said today.
That's
She
her-
tweeted that.
She tweeted it on June 1st. Let's go bail them out, guys.
Even if they committed a crime, even if they lose,
Yeah, let's
even
go
if they
bail 'em
ride
out.
it, because they're just being taken advantage of because all this stuff just
So-
set itself on fire, right?
So is she going to push that fund for the ones that went to the Capitol the other day? I hope not, because they need to go to jail.
That's one of the things you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
We don't care if you're at the Capitol. We don't care if you're in Portland. We don't care if you're in Seattle. We don't care if you're in Dallas. I don't care where you are. If you broke the law and you looted and rioted, go to jail.
Yep. And it says here that they refused to condemn the violence. And yesterday was horrific. And you lost your right to moralize. And that is from the National Review writer, Alexander D. Sant. I can't say it right. Tis. He's got a C in there. All right. So anyway, and Alexandra, excuse me, totally concur. They lost every right to moralize anything with that, in that aspect. And there's just a few others. A.G. Hamilton comes out on future president's remarks. This is complete nonsense. It's gaslighting. It requires ignoring that we actually witnessed last summer and what went on, And there's a bunch of others. I mean, it just doesn't stop. And rightfully so, because it's calling what it is. Now, what's amazing is all these articles that came out, And they go, oh, you know, about the tear gas. We had tear gas, they had pepper balls the other day, and flashbangs were all used. Forgot about that. That was conveniently left out by people like Gillibrand and all them. With all that, CNN didn't cover it.
No.
With all that, you know, all of them didn't go into detail about all those things, about the opinions and all that.
Well, one of the things I will say is we have this double standard in media. We also have this double standard on social media. We also have this double standard in our country. And I wrote a coach's thought just recently on conspiracy. And it makes me think about that. There's been so many things that we feel that we can't trust because the government lied to us at different times.
This is it right here.
This is it.
This is it.
Right. So go back and read the coach's thought from last week. Tell me what you think about it. But this is what makes me get so fired up about this is we were lied to so much that we don't know what the truth is. I've got people that are friends of mine that I have been so wanting to just block them.
Yeah.
But everything they post is one-sided. And then when you even post it, hey, this isn't a fact, and you even show them a picture, show them an article, show them whatever, then they will respond and clarify and go, we made a mistake. That's one of the things the media is not doing now that they used to do. You remember back when the newspaper would have to print the next day
Yes.
a retraction?
Yeah.
We don't do retractions anymore.
Down by the
We
classified
just
ads.
go on to the next article and forget it. And that's something that we have to do. Didn't we talk about forgiveness?
Yes.
If you make a mistake or you hurt someone's feeling, ask forgiveness, move on, and change your behavior. The news media doesn't do it. Social media people don't do it. They just move on to the next one. We've got to stop that.
So one thing I'll say is right here is I do apologize to CNN because I didn't say that quite right. But CNN did not cover that there was violent action this summer. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, that's what they missed out on is they forgot.
No, Lemon and Cuomo is not going to compare the two at all because to them, what happened this summer was okay because we had it coming.
Yep, because it fit their narrative.
Exactly.
Because it fit their narrative. And if it fits their narrative, it's worthy of news. And if it doesn't fit their narrative, you know what? We can find another planet in our solar system. That ain't in our narrative right now. We don't want that on there. But anyway, what would have been great, to be honest, was the president-elect come out and say, hey, this happened. These are the criminals. We need to punish them to the fullest extent of the law, and we will not tolerate this.
President and president-elect.
Yeah, both of them. I agree. Right. Both of them should have came out and done that. Mm-hmm. But instead of making it all about, let's go throw a dart at this guy and throw a dart at this guy, then we just look at you like this, like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about.
And last thing I want to say on this, because I know we're running short on time, is people now will see somebody, a picture of somebody, and go, he is with this group or he's with that group, or they'll find a photo where it was this group or that group and say, well, it wasn't the president supporters, it was Antifa. It wasn't the president supporters of Black Lives Matter. It wasn't the president supporter, it was a QAnon, which he's a president supporter if he's a QAnon, but whatever. But why are we trying to give excuses for people or excuses all the time? It's what we've come to. It's okay or it's not okay based on your ideology and politics. It's crazy. What happened to America?
Yeah, just remember this. The media presents a message, always.
Can I give 2 shout outs when we're done?
Sure can. Okay. But the media's message is always what they want you to hear. You got to always ask the question, why do they want me to know that? Why do they want me to know that?
Exactly.
You know? So go ahead.
Okay, I want to give a shout out first to my Aunt Carolyn. She says she listens to us all the time. I saw her yesterday. She actually used you by name.
Whoa.
And I also want to say a shout out to Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn.
Yes.
I have Linda's first cousin is actually from the Buffalo, New York area, Jason Sosnowski. He's been commenting on her stuff. He's an educator in Brooklyn. You're talking about, we're down here in South, we're in the South, baby, Northeast Texas, giving opinions, and we're having this dialogue. Jason, keep the dialogue. Teach us something.
Jason, I responded to you. Hope you didn't take that the wrong way. It's just how I feel.
I hope you took it the wrong way so you can get some response
Yeah,
back.
but send it back. We appreciate it, man. Really do.
He's a great guy. Actually, I have to give him the shout out I wanted to give to him is when we went to New York, he actually had to come a day later. He picked up the girls at the airport, took care of them all day for us.
Oh, man.
Great guy. If you're ever in New York, you need to find out. He's your tour guide.
There we go. All right. Well, you come down here to the South, Jason. We'll give you a tour also.
Hot links, baby.
We'll give you on hot links and we'll take you on a hog hunting trip. All right. Okay. Hey, Coach, I think we covered enough.
Yes.
So from the coach
To the bed.
Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.